What's going on, everybody? We got another episode of I Don't Work Here Lady coming at you. Let's get down into it. Here we go. I'm not a stripper. Posted by user Julia231990. So my story begins several years ago when I was a waitress at a Waffle House. It's not exactly I don't work here, but I don't work there kind of situation. So one morning after working a night shift, I stopped at a gas station to get some gas before going home. Exhausted, and may I add, in full uniform and everything, hat and apron included. I go to pay for my gas by pulling out my large wad of tips, mostly $1 bills. Out of nowhere, I hear this disgusted sound from the cashier, so I look up to meet her eyes. Here's the conversation. Me as me, cashier is played by Cash, manager will be played by M. You should be ashamed of what you do. Very tired and confused. I'm sorry, what? You should be ashamed of being a stripper. She was acting all holier than thou. Whoa, where did that come from? You need to leave. I don't want trash in my store. Lady, I'm a waitress. I'm in the waffle batter covered uniform. Yeah, whatever, just leave. Manager, who was in the office right behind her with the door open, called for her to the office and closed the door. I was still in shock when this lady came flying out of the office mad, with her purse. Rot in hell, stripper. She yelled this at me before leaving the store. The manager came out of the office and apologized for the woman's behavior and said that she had been warned about it before and fired her on the spot. He gave me a free breakfast biscuit and some coffee for the trouble. I thanked him and I paid for my gas. I was still in shock when I got home and told my mom what happened. This story gets better a few days later. I'm in the dish pit washing dishes when the same woman comes in to speak to a manager. She didn't see me until she had finished speaking with him. She looked me straight in the eye before turning red and rushed out the door. I asked what she wanted and he said she wanted to know if we were hiring. I started laughing and explained to him that that was the woman from the gas station. Of course I told my coworkers about it. She never came back. Add-on. Apparently it was because I had mostly $1 bills. In her little mind, only strippers have ones. Oh yeah, if you've ever waitressed in your life, you know about that big wad of ones. Most restaurants here only pay their servers and waiters $2 an hour, and they basically rely on tips for the rest of their income. So as you can imagine, most waiters are carrying around a wad of $1 bills. Karen shuts up when I speak up. Way up. This one's by Rin the Wolf. Okay, so I've been working as a driver for one of those food delivery apps called Waiter for a while now, and this happened to me just before I got off my shift today. One of the places you can order food from with our app is a Subway inside the local Walmart. It doesn't happen too often, but enough that people get warned it can happen during orientation. Don't want us driving up and down the street looking for a restaurant we won't be able to see, I guess. Anyway, I was picking up a sandwich and had to grab the drinks and bags of chips for the order while it was being made. Now, the uniform I was wearing for work is a highlighter green t-shirt with the company logo on it and blue jeans. The Subway uniform is a dark green polo and black pants. So I see no way for them to be mixed up, as even colorblind people would be able to tell the difference between them. I've got the chips and drinks and I'm heading for my bag when a woman sidesteps in front of me, making me stop short and almost drop everything. I'm a bigger guy, so sudden stops aren't that easy for me. Finally, I've been waiting for a half an hour. Give me that. Then she tried to grab the stuff from me. I pulled back and turned to block her. Hold up, ma'am, this isn't yours. I have to deliver this to someone at their house. Don't lie to me. Subway doesn't deliver. Now give me my food. This isn't your food. You're a horrible waiter. I'm gonna get you fired. Where's your manager? Ma'am, I'm not a waiter here. I work for... Quit lying, you little sh**. Your uniform says you're a waiter, so give me my damn food. Now, I've run into this sort of thing a few times since the shirt has the logo and says waiter on it. Some people assume that it's just a typo and that wherever they're eating has decided to label their waiter for some reason. I've gotten used to explaining it to people, but I was about 5 minutes from getting off the clock and my delivery would be about a 15-minute drive, so I was really wanting to get out of there. So I ended up doing something I kinda regret since she has a legit reason to complain about me. I took a deep breath and yelled right in her face. I don't work here. Move. She moved, looking like she had been smacked in the face with a wet fish. I dropped the chips in my bag, grabbed the sandwich and tossed it in two, grabbed the drink and walked out feeling like a boss. I really hope she doesn't figure out where to call to complain cause I really like this job. Edit. I usually deal with stuff like this with a 3 strikes you get yelled at policy, and the situation would have gone the exact same way if I hadn't been working. Mostly, I just feel insecure about doing it while on the clock, since that might get me fired. Yeah, you definitely don't want to get fired. That does seem pretty stupid though that their shirts say waiter on them. Why do they let cripples work here? I don't. Posted by Miss Jenny Bean 89. For context, I use a walking stick for mobility. I'm 29 and look a bit younger, so I do encounter random and rude folks armed with misconceptions about disability. Anyway, I was in a large supermarket on my own. I was browsing some condiment jars when a woman comes up to me. This woman was a bit older than me, dressed in a business suit and had the look of someone who thought their crap didn't stink. She asked me where the bread was. I was taken off guard, so I had to pause to think. As I was about to respond, God, how do you not know where it is? You work here, are you new? The employees wore black trousers and green polo shirts. I was wearing a black maxi shirt and a baggy pink t-shirt. Me, I don't work here, but I think the bread is down towards the bakery. Aren't you going to take me there, or do I have to get the manager? Look, I don't work here. I'm trying to do my shopping. Head to the bakery and I'm sure the bread will be there. I turn to leave. She clocks my walking stick. She obstructs my path away, knowing I'm not very able to dodge her. Why do they let cripples like you work here anyway? You're useless. For the last time, I don't work here. I'm just doing my shopping. Now leave me alone or I'll get an employee. At this point, an employee springs into action and tells the woman that I don't work here, but he can help. She walks off, tutting something about useless millennials. The employee told me he'd seen her hassling me and asked if I was alright. I said I'd be fine, but thanked him for bailing me out of the situation. He likely doesn't get paid enough for dealing with this nonsense. I just love the part where she says, head to the bakery, I'm sure the bread will be there. That's one way to piss Karen off. Forced racist rich lady to dumpster dive. This one's posted by Unencumbered Nuka. Some time ago, I had a job as a runner for a crappy horror movie company. Part of my job as a runner was to go to the bank to make various deposits and withdrawals for both the company and the boss. I went to the bank almost every day, sometimes multiple times a day. The bank was in a really upscale neighborhood, so it was not uncommon to see some really high-end cars in the nearby lot where I parked. The lot was not free if you were just parking to walk the area, but you could get validation if you went to certain specific businesses, like the bank a few buildings away. At this point, I had been at my job for about 3.5 years, which meant I had been to this lot easily about 1,000 times. I knew a lot of the workers in the area by name, including the lot workers. We talked a lot, and oftentimes I could get away with not getting validation, even on days I wasn't working. I was in my mid-20s and was often in shorts, flip-flops, and a merchandise shirt from the company. We didn't have uniforms, so they just gave me a ton of shirts from their movies, so I would have some kind of identifier while I was out working. Now, I should mention that I'm Hispanic, with pretty dark skin. I normally wouldn't even bother mentioning that, because who cares? You know who cares? Rich entitled people. I've seen my fair share of veiled racism and typecasting over the years. Hell, even at that lot, I've been asked multiple times to park people's cars. They usually apologize and look embarrassed when I point out the guys in the polo shirts and the vest with the name of the lot on them, so I usually just roll my eyes and go about my day. Occasionally, I'll get someone rude that will snap their fingers at me, which I extremely hate, or chuck their keys at me. I'm usually a little more of an ass, but nothing major. On this day, I was in a fairly poor mood. My company was starting to do some shady stuff and was screwing over employees. A lot of people hadn't been paid in weeks, and I was on half checks. The only reason I got any money was because the main meat of my job had me driving anywhere from 4 to 12 hours a day, and I can't do that without gas, which they reimbursed me for on top of my paycheck. So on my way to the bank, I bought a strawberry smoothie for lunch, as I knew there was no chance I was going to make it back to the office to eat the food I brought. I pull into the non-valet, parking in the lot, chat with the attendant while I grab my ticket, and start walking towards the bank. I hear someone shouting, "Jose! Hey, Jose!" But obviously I ignore it, as my name is not Jose. I walk past the lady shouting when I feel something smack me in the back of my head, dropping my glasses. I pick up my glasses and turn around to see this red-in-the-face lady glaring angrily at me. I was super pissed. I looked down to see what hit me, and of course, it was her car and house keys. This bitch literally threw her keys at a stranger's head. She was driving some really nice Escalade that looked like it was probably fully loaded and detailed regularly. I pick up her keys and shout, "What the f***, lady?" She shouts back, "Didn't you hear me calling you, you f***ing It's your own fault for ignoring me. I'm late for my hair appointment. Park my goddamn car." I was absolutely dumbfounded. I tried to explain to her that I didn't work there, but she was not having it. Every time I opened my mouth, she called me something even more demeaning and racist, questioning my intelligence and threatening to get me fired. She started walking away, so I decided, f it. I hurried up and walked to the restaurant next door and shouted, "Hey, b-." She turned around, steaming at her ears. I said as calmly as I could manage, "I don't work there." Then I dropped her keys in my half-full smoothie and chucked it as hard as I could into the restaurant's dumpster. The look on her face when the cup exploded in pink chunks as her keys dropped into a stanky dumpster was absolutely the freaking best. I walked away, flipping her off as she turned and ran back to the attendants. After I did all my bank business, I went back to the lot and saw her shouting at the lot security and pointing at me. The security guard, who of course I knew, asked me what happened. I told him she threw her keys at me, started shouting obscenities, and refused to take them back when I tried to explain that I didn't work there, and also that I threw them in my smoothie and chucked them in the trash next door. He was holding back his laughter when I finished. She tried to get him to call the cops on me, but he explained to her that she willingly gave me her keys and refused to take them back, telling her that she should have taken that extra second to listen to what I was trying to tell her. She then demanded that one of the workers go into the dumpster and fish the keys out. But he just pointed at a sign that said that the lot takes no responsibility for lost or stolen property. He then informed her that her Escalade was blocking traffic into the lot and that if she didn't move it in 15 minutes, he would call a tow truck to move it. She did not like that, and she let him know she didn't through racist ranting and grandstanding. He stood there quietly the whole time and took it. When she was finally finished, he looked down at his watch and told her, "You have 7 minutes, ma'am." Wouldn't you know it, she angrily trudged off towards the dumpster. We had a good laugh about it, but he told me not to do it again. As I pulled out of the lot, I got a nice view of her in the dumpster, furiously throwing everything everywhere. I honked and waved as I passed and went about my day with a big smile on my face. The next day, one of the lot guys told me that they ended up having to tow her Escalade. I guess she couldn't find her keys. Oh well, hope the hairdresser didn't mind her smelling like garbage. I'm not sure about the legality of this all, or if I would have been in any actual trouble if the police had been called. She just caught me on a bad day. I don't feel the least bit sorry about what I did though, haha. I guess the moral of the story is, don't be racist trash, and also, don't just give your keys to anyone like an idiot. Yep, sounds like that lady just about got what she deserved. She probably just went and bought a new Escalade for f***'s sake. That's gonna do it for this episode of I Don't Work Here, Lady. Like this video if you liked it, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one. Peace.